I want to speak with you first about confidence because in everything, we must arrive to a stage where we begin to shed the husk itself of what the reality has done. We've already identified that it's been doing things, the control systems, etc. And then now it's time to, shed off what they've done. And much of what they've done, especially when you notice the patterns, is really based on a point-to-point system. It's almost like old Gestapo days where somebody would snitch and tell that the other person was coming a little bit out of line. And then that kept everybody afraid of each other and also even untrusting of each other, because there was like the notion that, hey, if I express the wrong thing, though, this person could turn me in and even get a raise. You see what I mean? So this reality has been rife with some really extensive blockages to being able to be open and be in full expression. And because of that, and again, a numerous list of things that I've already detailed in the past, it has at times many parts of our personality, maybe not all of them, but many parts of our personality, rather recluse and constantly comparing itself to others. And in this way, others in the reality and what they've been able to achieve to assess where we're at and who we are. And I'm here to tell you that such things could be, and in many times will be, a grave mistake. That you have to automatically come into the new spectrum realizing that you are less than 1% in your uniqueness to how similar you are to everything else. So I just want to clarify in every way. You know how they always say the 1%, and they use this term. Your uniqueness places you in the less than 1%. It puts several zeros in front of that. This means that when you try then to compare yourself to others around you, it's automatically lowering you. It's just an improper method. Even when I say, I'm going to base myself on, and then fill in the blank, someone else, another pattern. Basing puts you low. That's what base means. Now, again, I'm speaking directly to comparing oneself to others. And that you move into this new space and it's no longer feeling like that you haven't achieved that yet. Because we can always bring that specimen and bring that code. And I can show you in ways in where you've blown the numbers out on something that being hasn't even really started to dive into yet. You see what I mean? So this is always going to be the possibility for sure when you're dealing with something so unique as every mainframe that's here. So when society brings something in front of us that we should judge people by, this again leads to even the confusions that we've gained with each other. So for the record, I'm saying not only stop judging yourself based on others, I'm also saying in many ways, we have to take a moment, and I'm going to itemize this here. Of examining this. There's like a ping pong game going on with judgment, right? And when you take the personality of the one that you feel is the better one, because a lot of times we do that in deflecting, we do that if we've been not taken care of, we do that if we've been ignored, we do that if we've been suppressed. So, and there's so many reasons why one would say, well, I'm better than this person. But then we'll gain an additional layer when religious ideas or goody two-shoe ideas or even namaste ideas come in play, because it'll be like, I do this. Let me clarify this here. So it's like when you're apologizing for what you're doing. So it's like you're saying, you know what? I am better than everybody, but not in the egotistical way. You see what I mean? So it's like this thing that people back up what they're saying, and they'll say stuff like let's say, okay, so let me just go by my notes here. So many suffer from the lifestyle of debasement. Okay, so that's what we're getting at here. So there's a constant pressure, right? And then this pressure and debasement is like, this person is better than me, right? But then when you start rising above that debasement, there's always a excuse or a reason why you can now think a certain way. And then you make sure that everybody else doesn't think you're thinking the wrong way. And what I'm saying is this sends the consciousness into a dizzying spiral of never being able to realize the value within itself. Even for me talking about it, it sent me into a dizzying spiral. So this is something that we need to stay away from, to realize what you're dealing with right now in this reality. You're front and center as your own being. You're in command. And now you need to go in and analyze things based on who you are and how you operate. If you tangent to another less than 1% being, trying to compare yourself, especially in not a constructive way, to who they are and how they operate, you're off center and you're off point. That's as much as I'm going to say about that. This was that part of the build that is like, hey, make sure you build more of what some could perceive to be ego, some could perceive to be self-love. You see what I mean? It's like, oh man, I look so amazing, but not like in a conceited way. You see what I mean? Remove all of that, all those layers and all that stuff, and just dial into what it is that you are. See what I mean? So it's no reflection and comparison. Who am I? Well, let me see what everything else is to determine who I am. That's the old steps. Now it's simply you go in and you see self. So we have to start thinking again. So you're already 1% of 1% of 1%. Then when you become adept, you're 1% of 1% of 1%. Then when you live in a certain state, you become, so that's what I mean in the beginning by, so if you're ever trying to compare yourself to others, you're literally always moving in this 0.00001% of everything. So it would be bad to even compare to get to the next stage. Now, of course, the reality in itself has a feedback loop happening to keep everyone in pigeonholes and archetypes. But so I'm just introducing the next way of perceiving and utilizing the consciousness in order to be able to achieve the great things. And it's because when you can fully know you are the great thing, you attract all of the great things. Now, I don't want to make this like simple as like The Secret and the law of attraction. What I'm explaining is if you can shift your consciousness long enough into a lofty state and stay there, the things that the lofty state has as its environment automatically attract like a magnet to that person. Because it's like, oh, here's all your things, shrack. See what I mean? That's how this all works. When you stay in a field long enough, you will inherit what belongs to that field. Now, you can see this on the most lowest levels too. Like if you're walking around, you got a knife in your pocket, you have stinking thinking, you're doing some drugs. That kind of vibration is going to attract what comes with that world. You see what I mean? So this is like just like a common sense 101 of occultism, right? But those common sense 101 things starts getting deep.